If you find yourself in a position where your partner wants an open relationship, you're probably overwhelmed with emotion right now. And you're probably pretty shocked by that request. And right now you're probably racking your brain thinking, okay, what exactly went wrong here? What did I do wrong? What is wrong even with your partner? What is wrong with this relationship? What is going on? And I get it, guys. This state can be a very panic-inducing state. But understand that when you act out of panic, it leads you to the wrong questions and leads you to the wrong treatment plans and action plan going forward. And I've seen a lot of my clients, driven by panic, do the wrong things before. So if you've seen these interviews before, you will hear them talk about their experience of how they led their panic to all the wrong actions, and only when they can get out of that panic and start to do the right things that they realize what a massive opportunity this is to actually deepen and strengthen your relationship and to eventually reattract your partner back to the point where they don't even want that open relationship any longer. And stick around to the very end of this video, guys, because this right here, when your partner says she wants to have an open relationship, is a very pivotal moment, and your actions will matter a lot during this time. And this can either transform your relationship to something that's better than it's ever been, or destroy it forever. And in case you're new to the channel, guys, my name is Geoffrey, and I help men who are in the brink of a divorce or a separation to become an irreplaceable asset in their relationship, to become magnetic to their partners, to eventually reconcile through the use of internal shifts and also by teaching them the right skills to be able to do this. So the first thing we need to do, guys, is to understand what are good questions to ask yourself during this stage and what are the bad questions. So a lot of people, driven by panic, they start to ask the wrong questions. So they ask the questions like, for example, is an open relationship a good thing or a bad thing? And if it's a bad thing, then what can I do to try to pull her back in right now? And what can I do to maybe place some boundaries in a relationship to give a signal to her that, hey, having an open relationship is not a good thing and it should be avoided at all costs. And I say that these are the wrong questions because really these questions lead to answers that doesn't really lead you with anything useful that you can do. So let's say here, you look at some videos and they'll teach you some tactics to try to convince your partner that having an open relationship is a bad thing. And if you say to your partner, hey, partner, here's the reasons why an open relationship is a bad thing, do you think that will actually remove her desire to have an open relationship? No. Logically, she might understand it, but emotionally, that's still going to be eating at her in the back of her mind. So it's not going to solve the problem at its root. And let's say you discover that having an open relationship is a bad thing that you want to avoid. So what can you do with that information, though? I mean, one thing you can do is to try to convince your partner, hey, having an open relationship is not a good thing. But you've tried that before, most likely. How has that worked for you? Probably not very well. So if you ask the wrong questions here, all it does is it gets you to the wrong answers. And when you get the wrong answers, it will lead you to the wrong types of actions. And often these wrong questions will only lead you to answers that just lead you to simply wait for your partner to change her mind, to do something different, to think about things differently, to feel differently. And so you're left there just sitting passively, waiting for your partner to make these changes. And as you're waiting, it actually intensifies the sense of panic, the sense of worry, the sense of anxiety. And so it's just not a good cycle to be in altogether. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to take a very different angle than what you're used to seeing in other videos or even from your therapy sessions. And I'm going to show you the root of why this is happening and what you can do about it. And guys, this works every time because I've seen thousands of my clients go through this process. And when they do it correctly, they're going to be fine at the end of the day. So the first step here is to understand why your partner wants an open relationship in the first place. So to understand this also, we need to go down to the core principles of the basic human needs. We need to understand that as humans, we have the same basic human needs. So one model you can look at this with is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You need all these needs for you to feel fulfilled as a human being in this life. So another model in which you can see these human needs is also through what we call the 5 pillars that we teach in our program. So if you, let's say, find that your partner wants an open relationship because she wants to seek emotional fulfillment, then you're really looking at the first 4 pillars here that are broken, that are gravely broken. So you might be lacking some emotional and psychological safety. And in this case, emotional and psychological safety is really the pipes that are required for you to even create that emotional fulfillment. And without the safety, it's like the pipes are blocked and you can no longer create that emotional fulfillment. You could be missing some admiration, some goal alignment as well. So these 4 pillars right here are broken. And usually in a lot of cases that I take, the problem is not really this admiration or alignment part, but really that emotional safety part. And a lot of men who struggle with this, it's not like they're trying to destroy that safety in a purposeful way. They often do it in a very subconscious, in a very accidental way. So if you watch a lot of my client stories, you will see a lot of them telling the story of how they inadvertently destroyed safety over time. And only when they understand what it means to create safety in a full sense of that word, do they understand how they're subconsciously destroying safety. And if you find that your partner is wanting to not seek emotional fulfillment but physical fulfillment, then you're looking at the fifth pillar here, where the sexual passion is gravely missing in that relationship. And I actually already made a video on sexual passion in a previous one, so if you want to watch that video, I'll include the link above my head or also down below this video for you to watch that video. So again, I know this can be a very confusing time for you, but just to make things very simple for you, if your partner wants an open relationship, it can either be for emotional fulfillment or physical fulfillment. And depending on what that is, or maybe it's both, you can see how that relates back to the 5 pillars here. So here, what I'm hoping that I'm doing is taking this very confusing time, because you might think that the problems are infinite problems or so many problems, but really it's just 5 core problems in your relationship. And so how am I so confident that some parts of the 5 pillars are missing is really the root? Because at this point, we've enrolled over 2,000 clients to our program, and they find that when they identify these as a root, and when they actually become the person who can deliver on these missing links, these missing ingredients in their relationship, they realize that it's not really an open relationship that their partner wants, but something deeper. They're missing something fundamentally deeper. So if you want to see a case study with one of my clients where he not only realized that it was not really an open relationship that their partner was wanting, but something deeper, and once he was able to deliver on this something deeper, that changed the course of the relationship forever, then you can watch the interview I have with Spencer Davis. And in the interview, he outlines exactly the thought process from start to finish. So I'm gonna leave the link for you above my head, also down below this video. And at this point, I wanna take a short detour here, because I can sense a lot of you thinking, for example, hey, Jeff, isn't this a bit unfair? Because here's my partner wanting to have an open relationship, which hurts me. But now I also need to figure out some flaws within me, and I need to do something about this. Why is it on me to do something about this? And if you're thinking that, then I want you to think about these 3 things very deeply to reframe this whole situation that you're in. Number 1 is that if you want something big from your partner, then you have to be able to deliver in a big way as well. So I want you to pause here and put yourself in your partner's shoes for a bit and really think about what you're asking here. You're asking your partner to spend their one and only life with you. And not only that, you're asking them to say, I want you to spend not only your one and only life, but I want you to not even look elsewhere. Now, I want you to take yourself back to when you were small, when you were little. I mean, all of us have desires and dreams of having that wonderful, fantastical relationship eventually with the woman of our dreams. Now, I want you to imagine that you got older with those dreams and you met someone, and this person was not able to give you all the fulfillment that you were looking for. And not only was this person not able to give you the fulfillment you were looking for, you're so unhappy in this relationship. You're so unhappy and you can't even talk about how unhappy you are. Because whenever you talk about it, you get punished, you get some anger in response, you get blamed, you get judged, etc. The same way you're judging your partner right now for wanting to have an open relationship. So I want you to imagine that. Now, what would you feel in that moment? I would feel extremely hopeless in that moment. So if you're judging your partner for wanting to have an open relationship at this point, you're doing the exact same thing to her. You're giving her the same hopelessness, the sense of no matter where I step, it's wrong. Now, in your partner's point of view here, if let's say she's in a position where she's unhappy, but she can't even talk about how unhappy she feels, really, there's only a couple of options here. Either she learns to accept it, so lower her standards of what she looks for in her life, in her relationship, and accept it, or she gets out and face some judgment and some criticisms. And those are really the only 2 options you have. And so if you were to put yourself in your partner's shoes, what would you do here? What would you feel here? So the whole point of this, guys, is that asking your partner to spend her one and only life with you and not even look elsewhere, despite how unhappy she feels, is a very big ask to ask of your partner. And if you want her to deliver on this big ask that you're asking of her, then you have to also be able to deliver big. And if you cannot even confront the fact that, hey, maybe I'm missing some of these 5 pillars. Maybe I haven't led my relationship well enough. Maybe I haven't been able to embody to the best of my ability these 5 pillars. If you cannot even confront that fact, then how can you ever expect to deliver big in giving her all these 5 pillars? And I get it, guys, it's hard to take the blame right now. But right now, think about this. If you choose to play victim, and if you choose to blame her, and you choose to do nothing about this, and not look within to look at your own flaws here, yes, that's easy in the short term. But if you take that path, you're gonna face the hard consequences of actually having a bad relationship. But if you take that easy path, then you also have to realize that you have to face the consequences, the hard consequences of having an unhappy partner, being paranoid as you are now, being panicked, etc. So remember that at this point too, that even if you were to pull your partner back in, that's not going to remove her desire to look elsewhere. Because at the end of the day, when you pull her back in, you're just putting a band-aid over a bigger problem, which is that she fundamentally is missing some of these core needs that she have in the relationship. And unless you take your attention away from the tactical stuff and into the core solutions and the core diagnosis, nothing will really work. So the other choice here that I'm recommending is that you take the hard road right now. The hard road of taking this instance, this situation that you're in, and using it as a time to introspect, look within, and face your flaws head on, which is a hard thing to do. But when you do this hard thing, you get the gifts, the easy route of having a fulfilling relationship, of growing yourself so that you can create these 5 pillars, either for her or someone else for a new relationship. Either way, you're learning how to create a fulfilling relationship, and you are allowing yourself for the long term to actually face the easy rewards of being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. But again, if you do not want to do the work of becoming irreplaceable, or if you choose to be in denial of the work that you actually need to do, the fact that you're not irreplaceable and that you need to do some work to get there, then stop whining about how crappy or shitty your life is. Stop whining about how hard this is. Stop whining about how paranoid and worried you feel. And number 2, guys, the second thing for you to think about is I want you to see how logic is super counterproductive at this point, or using logic to try to convince your partner to stay. So there's a really good quote that I want to start this with, and it says, you can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So you can try to ignore the fact that your partner is really unhappy and she's missing some of these core 5 pillars here. And you can take the denial further and try to rope your partner back in here. But you trying to rope her back in doesn't change the fact that she's still fundamentally not happy at a very core level. In fact, if you try to rope her back in right now, that's actually going to do more harm than good, because I want you to think about the insinuations you're making about your partner here. The thing you're saying about your partner is that she's so messed up that even if I gave the perfect environment for her, even if I gave all the 5 pillars in the best way that I can, that even if she's presented with all these evidence to stay in the relationship, she's so animalistic, she has so little morals that she still wants an open relationship anyway. If that's what you're insinuating about your partner, then is it any wonder why she wanted to leave in the first place? Why she never felt safe? Why she cannot admire someone like that? Why she cannot align with someone like that? Do you see the irony of judging your partner for wanting to have an open relationship here, guys? And the third thing to think about is that when she tells you she wants an open relationship, that's her actually giving you an opportunity. That's her giving you the perfect alley-oop pass for you to actually take and dunk it with. So most people in this situation will resort to the toxic phases again. We have the active, passive, and stoic. So you could show the active phase where you're trying to get angry at her for wanting to have an open relationship. You could do the passive phase where you're acting aloof and saying like, I'm high value, whatever, you wanna go, you go. Or you could be taking the stoic approach where you're trying to logically try to convince her to stay. If that's what you resort to doing, so your partner here tells you she does a difficult task of bearing her heart out to you, to tell you, I want an open relationship, which is not an easy thing to do, and that I'm not happy in the relationship. And that is how you respond. Is there any wonder why she never felt safe in the first place, if that's how you respond? When she tells you this, guys, she's actually giving you an opportunity to do something about it. She's actually giving an opportunity to reinstill that hope for her. Because again, it would be easier for her to actually not say anything. The hard thing for her to do is to actually say something. So to use an analogy of business and work, for example, when my employees give me some bad news, maybe they tell me that they're unhappy in their workplace. If I use the opportunity to get angry at them, to try to convince them to say like, hey, here's all the reasons you should be happy. Would me doing those things actually stop the problem from existing? Would it actually stop them from feeling unhappy? No. The problem still persists. All I'm doing now is I'm destroying the safety along with it. So now in their head, they're thinking, okay, whenever I feel unhappy in a relationship, whenever I feel unhappy in my workplace, the last place I should tell is my boss. And this right here, when you destroy safety like this is an example of how you destroy safety in a very subconscious way. But also, this is how, if you think about all the misunderstandings you had, all the resentment that builds up, it gets built up because it's not expressed. And it's not expressed because we have learned over the course of our relationship that whenever you express it to this person, things never go well, especially when you express difficult emotions, difficult feelings, etc. And so when your partner is telling you she wants to open a relationship, that's her expressing to you her tough feelings. And that's a moment when she wants you to actually grab that and turn it from negative to positive. But if you respond in a negative way out of sheer panic, then all you're gonna tell her is that, you know what? I was right to feel repressed. I was right to feel this resentment. I was right to keep all these things to myself because this is not a person I can talk about solutions with. So again, guys, I might sound like a broken record here, but when your partner again is telling you that she wants an open relationship, that's not her telling you it's over, that you shouldn't try. That's her giving you the perfect alley-oop pass because she wants you to do something about that. That's your opportunity to actually turn this from negative to positive. She just told you the problem. She just told you the core problem. And now that you know the problem, do you punish her for telling you and expressing to you her true feelings, her true problem? Or are you going to take that and actually fix it and resolve it and do something about it? That's on you to decide right now. And so you might be wondering too at this point, if it's an opportunity, Jeff, then why doesn't she just say it? Say it like that. Well, she can't say it. And you must understand the psychology behind this. And this is a topic that's way beyond this video right now, but I did make a video on this 2 videos ago. So if you want to watch that and understand the psychology of why she cannot tell you that it's an opportunity, then I want you to watch that video above my head and also down below this video as well. So now that we know that this is a massive opportunity, how do we actually turn it into an opportunity? How do we actually turn it into something positive? What do we do with the information that she wants an open relationship? And this is the process that I take all my clients through. And it always works, guys, if you do it properly. So number 1 is understand the difference between a context and a circumstance. So a lot of people, a lot of men especially, when they're trying to figure out the why behind why their partner wants an open relationship, they're too simplistic about their reasonings of why. So they might say, for example, well, is it because I got angry at you that one time? Or is it because we don't go out on dates anymore? Is it because of XYZ? They're basically looking at, here's your desire to want to open a relationship, and here's the circumstance, the one circumstance that caused it. But usually, guys, people do not make big decisions like that. Your partner does not make a big decision like she wants an open relationship and bring it up to you out of one circumstance. It's usually a series of circumstances that overall makes up a context. So early in my relationship, for example, my partner said to me, Jeff, I don't believe in marriage. And that's a very big statement. And a lot of men looking at that would go, oh, she doesn't believe in marriage because of this one circumstance. But what I did was I looked at her childhood, her previous historical experiences with life, her friends and how their relationships went. I looked at how her parents' relationships went. I looked at how she has developed this philosophy around a relationship, etc. And all these circumstances that add up make up the overall context that actually led her to feeling like she doesn't believe in marriage anymore. So the first step here is just to get your mind away from the frequency of looking at circumstances that cause her to want an open relationship and into realizing that there's probably not just one reason, but many reasons. And this brings me to number 2, which is that you need to understand the skill of finding the thing behind the thing. And this is something we talk deeply about in our program because this is such a crucial skill. But this is a skill of being able to dive deeper into someone's psyche with such deep compassion that you can finally say in your head, if I were you, I would have done, thought, and felt exactly the same. So in this case, you need to find a thing in a thing and really understand your partner's set of contexts and set of circumstances. They will allow you to go, you know what, if I lived your life, if I faced what you faced, if I thought what you thought, if I have gone through exactly what you've gone through in the past, in this relationship, in your childhood, I would also want an open relationship right now. And in this video alone, I might have given you some different perspectives that allows you to get somewhat closer to being to that point. But I want you to keep digging deeper and keep understanding things from a perspective until you can actually say for yourself, if I were you, I would have done, thought, felt exactly the same. In this case, I also would have wanted an open relationship to the extent that you do. And often, guys, this is not something that you do by yourself. It's not like you can sit there on your couch and think through, okay, why does my partner want an open relationship right now? This is something that needs to be done not only through your own thinking, but also through use of the framework. So in the program, we have 7 frameworks in which we can use to guide every single conversation to dive deeper into someone's mind, psychology, etc. And the point here is to use the frameworks plus your internal thinking as well to be able to find that thing behind a thing. And sometimes, guys, that thing behind a thing, when your partner says she wants an open relationship, it's not an open relationship that she wants. Again, you need to dive deeper into the deeper motivations, the deeper things behind it. So a great example of this again is that your partner might not be wanting an open relationship, but she might be looking for that emotional fulfillment. In this case, emotional safety, psychological safety, admiration, etc. Now, another example of this is with a client of mine, Spencer. So Spencer's wife told him, hey, I'm leaving this relationship because I want children. And you are someone who is not willing or not able to give me children, and I cannot make this relationship work. When you really find the thing behind a thing though, it's not really children that she wants, but the sensation of nurturing something, of being able to lead something, of watching something grow. But if that's the root core that she's looking for, they realize that it's not really kids that she wants. The kids doesn't become the real problem. The real problem is that nothing in this relationship allows me to feel that nurturing motherly role. But if we realize that the problem is this nurturing, the lack of nurturing, then there's many other ways we can find a win-win to that relationship despite giving your wife kids. Do you see what I mean here? So we need to understand, by finding the thing with the thing, we're really trying to find the root problem here. The root problem that doesn't sound so unrealistic, that is not really what your partner said at first, but something deeper than that. And this brings me to my third point, which is that once you find the root diagnosis of what the core problems are, then finding the solutions will be easier. So again, in that example where Spencer and his wife realized that it's not really the lack of kids as the root of the problem, but the lack of that environment that allows her to nurture something. Once you realize that, there's actually a lot of ways to create that sensation of nurturing something without just having kids. There's many other alternatives, but you can only find these alternatives if you find the root cause, the root core, if you find the thing behind a thing. And number 4, guys, once we find the root solutions, we need to actually be able to deliver on those solutions. So in the case of Spencer's example, for example, we realized that, okay, the reason why you cannot feel like you nurture something is that we're not aligned on how we want to both lead our lives in a way where we can still grow together. Well, why can't you find that goal alignment? Is because we lack the mutual admiration. And why do you lack the mutual admiration and the alignment? Is because we don't have any safety to actually talk about our problems, to actually talk about our deep feelings, etc. So when you find these root problems, you'll also find the root solution. And the root solution is to now create safety. But at this point, you need to make sure that you are someone who is actually able to create that safety. Right? You need to be able to deliver on the solutions that you come up together. And this is why, guys, the program that we have is built the way it is. Not only is it designed for you to diagnose what the root core of your problems are. So in this case, Spencer's, for example, is starts with goal alignment and all the way down to the safety problem. But it doesn't even end there. It goes down to, okay, what is the internal shifts that are missing that prevents you from creating safety in the first place? So we go down to the 3 layers of changes as well. And once you find the root problem with, like down here, for example, then the program allows you to work on things step by step to build it back up from the bottom up. And as you build the bottom layers, you'll find that the next layers become more natural as well. So as you work on the 3 layers of changes, for example, creating safety becomes a natural artifact. And once you create safety, getting admiration becomes a natural artifact of that. And once you gain admiration, getting alignment also becomes a natural artifact. And so everything just comes more naturally to that relationship, to you, etc. So just to cap off these 4 things, guys, understand that what I outlined to you was the what of what to do. But I didn't tell you the how, which is something that we discussed very deeply in the program. The reason why I say this is because I get a lot of people saying to me, for example, Jeff, I tried these 4 things, but it didn't work. Well, you might have tried the 4 what things to do, but did you do it with the right how? So if you want to learn the right how behind this what, then I want you to join me in my masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In that masterclass, I'll show you the exact steps like Spencer has and all my clients have to take him from a brink of divorce, separation, in this case, your partner wanting an open relationship because she's fundamentally so unhappy with something in the relationship, to a thriving state that they're in today. So if you want to join me in the masterclass, click the link above my head, also down below this video, and I hope to see you guys there. In the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you in the next video.